There is no shortage of people out there who are standing by, willing and able, ready to tell you what to think. They got all the answers, they have all the solutions, and they want to make sure you know how you should be thinking. Better yet, they want to tell you what to think. Welcome back to the channel. I am Sherman Rivers, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between what to think and how to think. I think the first thing that we have to take a look at is the difference between emotions and thoughts. Now, when you tell somebody how you think or what you think about something, do you say, I think XYZ, or I think ABC? Or do you find yourself saying, I feel like, well, I feel like ABC. Now, if I asked you a question and I said, tell me what you think, and you said, well, I feel like, why in the world would you be telling me what you feel like when I asked you what you thought? Reason is because there's a disconnect. There's some confusion as to the difference between thinking and feeling. A lot of our thoughts are influenced by our emotions, but if we're not careful, we'll allow ourselves to go through life running on emotion, never really thinking, just an emotional creature. And a sovereign man can't be an emotional creature. You can't go through life running on emotion and then claim to be, or think you are, or feel like you're in control, right? You can. It'd be misguided. You could do whatever you want to do, but it would not be a wise thing to do. You see, words have meanings. They mean things. And it's important to understand what you're saying, or what's been said, or what's really impacting your thoughts. Couple examples. First example, and I like to use these examples a lot. Take politics, for instance, right? You can have somebody out there stating their position on something. They say, I feel like this, that, and the other. But they haven't really thought about it. And this applies on both sides of the aisle, however you think politically. But a lot of times if you ask people, well, why do you think that? Or why do you feel that? It's because they've been pushed into this river of emotion, or they jumped into this river of emotion. And a lot of times they don't even know why they think that. Say, break it down. Tell me why you think we should do A, B, or C. And then maybe you'll get some responses about some emotional things. Well, these people feel this way, and I feel this way about this, and this is happening, and these people are sad. But no, I'm not asking you how everyone feels. I'm asking you why. What are the mechanics of that? And can you justify those mechanics? Most of the time, answer is no. And then you can slide over to the area of relationships, same thing. Feel, feel, feel. Feel, feel, feel. So as a result of feeling these feelings, they tell you what to think. But never once did anyone help you understand how to think. You have to have some type of paradigm, a logical filter to run these things through to see if they even make sense. Because in a relationship, it's a dangerous thing to act on emotion. That's how guys sign over everything they own. Or they go somewhere and they meet somebody and they fall in love. Next thing you know, they got nothing. This is how you end up in bad places in relationships. For females, for women, that's how you end up walking around with a big belly, carrying a baby from some guy who's a piece of crap, right? Because you felt a certain way at a certain time, but it wasn't a logical thing. You didn't run it through like a common sense type of filter. You were running on emotion. We could apply the same thing to religion. Now, religion is a little tougher because most of the time it's something that's been inculcated in us from day one, from our youth, or we found our religion in a time of hardship, time where things weren't so great and we were desperate in some way, shape, or form. And we feel as though it saved us. So I mean, that's hard to argue with. That's yeah. But yet and still, it allows us to end up in an emotional place because we're being told what to think and not really how to think. So it helps if we run these thoughts through this paradigm, and maybe we can figure out some great solutions to whatever it is we're dealing with. That's how to think. It's a process. You know, maybe I should address the issues when it comes to acceptance, self-acceptance, or the acceptance of others. Maybe I should address the issues when it comes to responsibility, taking responsibility for those things that I'm supposed to own and allowing other people to take responsibility for the things that they're supposed to own. I mean, apply the theory to any of those situations I talked about. Politics, apply it there. Do things for others that don't do things for others that they can and should do for themselves. What does that look like politically? Don't ask other people to do things for you that you can and should do for yourself. What does that look like politically? In a relationship, don't ask others to do things for you that you can and should do for yourself. What does that look like in a relationship? Don't do things for others that they can and should do for themselves. What does that look like in a relationship? About 3 or 4 other videos right there, because that is deep. Free will. Other people have their own free will and they're responsible for the consequences of their acts, provided there's no harm, right? They're not harming anybody. What does that look like politically? What does that look like in a relationship? What does that look like in religion? Your free will. You have the right to do as you please, basically, provided you're not harming anyone else and you're handling your responsibilities. But ultimately, you have your own free will. What does that look like politically? What does that look like in a relationship? What does that look like? This is the reason for this paradigm. That's why it's structured the way it is. That's why it's so helpful when you're dealing with these issues in life. This is why I talk about it. It's a tool, it's a powerful tool. If you'd like to learn more about this paradigm, let me know. I'd be happy to share it with you. Um, and maybe it'll be a tool that you could use going forward in life. I think I'm gonna develop some courses based upon this and finish that book that I've been working on. I think I'll do that to make myself better, to help make myself better. And on that note, you should do something. Do something today to make yourself better. Not a day goes by that I don't do something to become better. Because if I know anything, it's this. When we become better people, our world becomes a better place. You are more powerful than you know. You're more powerful than you realize. The power is within you. I want better for you. And if I could wish anything for you, I mean, if I had a whole laundry list of things to wish for you, but I can only wish one thing, I wish you peace. Peace.